I'm all good now. Okay, good morning. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Sorry, I have, daggone it. I worked in my office and I put a rug down, hoping it would absorb some of the sound. So I feel echoey again. I'm so sorry. Good morning. I have an inspection happening this morning at 9 at one of my listings, and it's in a gated community. So I was just confirming with the inspector that he had the gate code. I had sent it. I always do my job, and I made sure that it was listed everywhere. But the last thing I wanted was a frantic phone call here within the next few minutes as we're trying to start coffee time with a request for the gate code. So I missed you guys. Gosh, where are we? What is today? Today the night? Yeah, well, of course it is. It's 19th. So there was a lot going on. You guys have been so wonderful and so patient because we always have coffee time, right? But then we didn't have it the Monday right at Christmas, understandable. But then we were back, and then I didn't have it again last week because of Eric's celebration of life. I just felt like I needed to really focus on that. So much to talk to you about and catch you up on. I feel like, to be honest, I feel like this is my new year. Like, New Year happened, but as we all know, that was crazy. It wasn't really bringing back the best of memories and the best of times. And so we got through that and got through the celebration and got through some other things. And I don't know, I feel energized and excited about the new year. I've actually, you're going to be so proud of me. I've had several different doctor's appointments. Some more appointments. Oh, you know what? I just reminded myself I need to go get blood work done today. Lots of things that need to be done. Lots of things that I was a little, as we all are, I think, as adults. We don't put ourselves first. We take care of our kids, our spouse, our family, and we don't take care of ourselves the way that we should. And most definitely this past year, I didn't give a hoot about myself. So I had to get caught up on a few appointments and doctor's appointments and some lab work and things like that. So you'll be very proud of me. I've started that. I've had a few doctor's appointments, got more scheduled, lab work coming up, prescriptions filled, all that kind of stuff. So taking care of Amy in one aspect, just health-wise, but just feeling kind of, remarkably energized and excited about just life, I guess, which is still hard to do, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, there was a lot of really good closure going on. But anyway, so I want to get you caught up, but I also want to see who's popped in because it's just like scrolling like cuckoo crazy. Okay, where did I leave off? Sydney, good morning to you, Sydney, as always, in Valencio. Debbie, I don't think I said good morning to you yet, my friend. Jay, good morning. Jane, good morning. Kavita, I think I already said good morning to you, but I'm going to say it again. Good morning, Kavita. Miss Susan, of course. Allie, good morning. And I'm sure Easton and somewhere. Hong's off work today. So hopefully Hong's watching. If not, that's fine. You just need to sleep. Let's see who else. Jay and a good, excellent. Okay. I think a detox. There you go. Hey, a detox would also help. You know what? Probably not a bad idea. I really am. I've kind of tried to make it, kind of one of my personal goals to just, I need to get to a dermatologist. I'm a very freckly, moly person, so I always need to go and get that checked. I haven't had that done in a long time. And good morning, Ben. And just regular checkups and, blood work being done and just all sorts of stuff that needs to happen. We all need to do that. So if I'm doing it, you need to do it. Okay. So let's all say, good health. All right. Well, it is Martin Luther King Day. So happy Monday, a holiday, national holiday for Martin Luther King, Jr. There's so many amazing quotes, right? It's a very special day, but one of my favorites, and it really has truly always been one of my favorites. I'm not a person who spouts quotes or Bible verses or just, any of those, mantras and things. But one of my favorites has always been life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? That honestly has always been one of my favorite because I've always felt that way before I knew it was even, something that he said, which is what are you doing for others, and that could be anything from checking in on a neighbor to volunteering to leaving little random notes of kindness to always being a support system and a cheerleader for your friends, or helping those that need the help, whether it's financially or whatever the case is. So I'm taking that one to heart today too. And I'm just kind of little bit of a kick in my step, even though I'm really tired, but that's okay. I get to see you, and I have seriously been so stinking excited to see you this morning. And again, I think I've told you, the past couple of months, especially through the holiday season, when Eric was here, I always got up on Monday morning, got my shower, because Eric was taking care of everything with coffee time. Eric was making sure that the lights were up, that everything was still in where it needed to be, that all the cords were attached. And so all I had to do was get myself ready, come in at 8:30. We would do a quick run through of the show and making sure I knew where all the buttons were. You know that. And so that was it. Well, since I don't have him and I'm here by myself, I was like, oh, I'm just so stressed about it. I'll get my shower on Sunday evening. And then when I get up, I can get dressed that saves me some time. But this morning, no, my friends, we got it all set up yesterday. Got it all squared away, got up this morning. The first thing I do though, I have learned, I will come in and I will check to make sure that nothing cuckoo crazy happened overnight. Like there wasn't a power surge or something got unplugged, because as I've mentioned before, there have been times where I come in, I double check, make sure everything is set, prepped, and ready. And all of a sudden my coffee time is reverted back to like 3 weeks ago. I'm like, oh no, but not today. Today, everything is good. So anyway, so I got up, I got my shower, I am raring to go. I didn't do my nails today. Sorry. Oh, can't have it all, my friends. All right, so let's get ourselves going. Let me see who else popped in again. If anyone else popped in that I neglected to say good morning to, I think I got all of you. Thank you. Jay says, glad to hear you're taking care of yourself. I'm trying. I mean, it's not easy, but I'm trying. All right, let me see. What did I just do? I just did something over here. I'm going to move this over. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's get ourselves going into our brewing topics for today. Okay, so our brewing topics today, I'm going to catch you up on Eric's celebration of life 1 year after he passed. I know it's been a while. You're probably like, good gracious, how long is this going on? Well, we finally had it. Also, home site woes and long-term versus short-term rental investment properties. Some things that you might want to consider. I have a client now who is looking at some short-term investment properties. And so we were chatting about that. And as always, I kind of pull some of these topics from what's really happening, questions that real clients have or situations that real buyers are going through. So one thing I wanted to pop up though here is real quick. Pam said, my Monday wasn't the same without our coffee time family. I agree, Pam. It was very weird on Monday morning to not see you guys. Because I've really come accustomed to it. Speaking of our Heart and Home Orlando family, I did want to follow up Rob Collins that we had chatted about before, that was always with us every week, like sometimes the first one here, always here, always chiming in. Well, I went back and did some digging. I actually did not realize I was actually Facebook friends with him. Eric and I both were, and I'm not on Facebook very often, to be quite honest. So if you're on Facebook and if you have sent me a friend request and I haven't responded, don't take it personally. I'm just never really on there very much. I kind of use it as my way to communicate information, specifically when it was with Eric and everything. And it's my photo dump. It's usually where I put all of my photos nowadays. I just kind of shove them there. So I did not realize that we were actually Facebook friends. And I did learn that he did unfortunately pass away. He passed away on August 27th. I was on his Facebook page and I had seen a message, people were saying, we're so sorry to hear that he had passed away. So that does explain where he's gone. He was a really big supporter. I say supporter, and I don't want to say fan because I don't think that's it, but like a big supporter and a big part of our Heart and Home Orlando family. So especially our coffee time Monday mornings, I did want to share that information with you. So, while we have a day of celebration of Martin Luther King Day, also take a moment and send his family and loved ones some well wishes, even though it's several months ago. And I'm just learning about it now, which makes me feel like I am a terrible, terrible person for not having, dug a little bit deeper. But we did find out. So I don't know exactly how. I know he was having some health issues. I think he had even mentioned that to us. The specifics I'm not sure of, but we love you, Rob. So thank you for being a part of our family. I'm not crying. Not. Okay, so let's go back to the brewing topics. So Eric's celebration of life. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Here's a quick little picture, I think. Yeah. So it was standing room only. We had about 130 people, I think, there. Give or take. I know some people at the very last minute said they couldn't come. There's a lot of sickness going around, which, by the way, we all were sick too. Remember that day I kind of had the sniffles or whatever, and I was like, I don't know, a little whatever. I ended up having COVID. So we almost all had COVID. We all had something. But I did have COVID. Hong had COVID. My daughter had it. My other daughter had, like everybody, it was kind of a hot mess for a while. So, but here's the thing. We were all sick in time to heal fully and to not be contagious in time for Eric's celebration of life. So we're very, very grateful for that. Not happy that we were sick, but very happy that if we had to be sick, that it worked out timing wise. We had standing room only. It was amazing. I did not get it videotaped, guys, but we did have some people that did some clips here and there. I just couldn't put it together. I want to mention the first picture over there to the left. I don't know if you can see the little blue area, the little area. Let me try that again. If you can see the little blue arrow, there we go. It's pointing to a bluebird there in the trees. So Eric and I, when Eric first passed, there was just a weird situation outside my house. There was this bird that when it flew, I didn't really see its vibrant colors, but when it flew, you just saw the gorgeous blue. And I was like, wow. And it just kept going from lamppost to lamppost right in front of my house while I was standing out there. And it was right after Eric passed. And so there was just a part of me that was like, was that you, honey? Is that you? Or you're kind of back and forth. It's like, you're like protecting me. You're standing in front of me like you would always do, And so for whatever reason, I just always kind of made the internal thought that, well, maybe if I see bluebirds, it'll be my sign from Eric. And if it's not a sign from him, then it's something that gives me comfort regardless. So anyway, well, my son mentioned the same thing, and I may have told you the story before, but my son Dawson said that, there's a blue jay that one day he came out, and I think it was on his truck, and it just wouldn't leave. And so these bluebirds, blue jays, just bluebirds of color have been our sign. True story. The day that I was prepping, so at each table, Eric's favorite color was purple. His favorite flower was a Gerber daisy. What else do we have? He wanted to have kind of a New Orleans style funeral without the parade, although he probably would have loved the parade. But just kind of the thought of it's okay to be sad, but we want to be really happy in the end that I was here and that I got to live and that we all got to be friends. And so we kind of combined all of that into the celebration of life. And while I was at my kitchen island and I was prepping, I'd ordered these little tiny purple bud vases, the purple and white Gerber daisies, and I was assembling all of them for the little centerpieces on the tables. I saw the fluttering off to the side. Something caught my eye. I looked out and I see this big, beautiful blue bird. It's just flying. And then all of a sudden I see it fly, but I see another one. And then I see another one. And then I look in the tree, and the tree looks like it's got twinkle dust in it, twinkle lights in it, because you just see all this little fluttering all throughout this tree. My son at that point had just come home because it was still on break from school, still on winter break. And I said, Dawson, come look at this. And he's looking out there, and we see, sorry, I'm looking. Okay, no, that's a leaf. But I was like, whoa, something's fluttering again. But things were fluttering, and I look out there, and it's literally like a nest. These birds, they're all bluebirds or blue jays. I don't know which, but they're just all over the place. And it was amazing. And this is literally happening while I'm assembling the stuff in preparation for the celebration of life, the centerpieces. Anyway, we go to, and I'll put the picture back on. So now we're at the celebration of life, and Easton and Elsie, I mean, you can imagine any little kid at some point wants to kind of walk or talk or get a little fussy and just need a change of scenery. So they took them outside. There's these lovely little patio areas that were kind of outside attached to the venue. And I didn't realize this at the time, but Jen Ross, Daryl's wife, was out there, and Allie was out there. A lot of people were out there while the service is going on, but they were out there just keeping the kids kind of happy. And lo and behold, there's bluebirds sitting right there, like right behind what was going on. So anyway, so I feel like that was a little sign, even if it's something that is not real, and I'm just wishing it to be my little sign. It gives me comfort. I'm going to take that. So anyway, but it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I have more pictures of that later, but it was awesome. We had some of his friends came in and they spoke. We had people travel across the country. Truly amazing. So touched how many people came and made the trip. Like, just insane. It's one thing if you live in the area, and you're like, well, it's convenient, but it's another when people go out of their way to make it known. In fact, one of his first bosses when we first got married didn't even realize he lived in the same neighborhood where the event venue was, and he popped in, and I mean, it was just amazing. So I'm very grateful for all of that. So anyway, all right, so let's see. Elizabeth says, it was truly such a beautiful celebration. Eric was so loved by all, and it was so special to see that celebration with him. Yeah, absolutely. Ames said, that happens to me with butterflies. I rarely see butterflies. I'm in Miami, but when I do see butterflies near me, I think about my grandmother being near me. I know, right? It gives you that piece of comfort. Yeah, there's a lot. Melody, good morning to you. Susie, I think you popped in. Some of you have popped in and I didn't. Melody says, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm late. Love the signs from our loved ones. I think so too. I think it was a sign from him. Like I said, whether it was or it wasn't, maybe one day I'll know. But for now, I'm just going to choose to find comfort with that and have it be my thing. So, all right, let's move on to our second brewing topic, which is, what is it? I don't remember. Oh, home site woes. Oh, my goodness. All right. So as I mentioned just a little while ago, I do have some clients that are going through something. And I think, sometimes, we always try to, especially at this point, we try to prevent any of those things, right? Any kind of questions or potential, hiccups or, excuse me, just things that you may not be aware of. But this is important because this picture that I showed you, this is typically what a builder's, and by the way, we're focused on new construction at the moment, specifically because if it's a resale home, you already know what that lot looks like. However, we're going to circle back to that in a minute. First of all, I need a sip. This is my Downton Abbey mug that my girls got me. What is a weekend? Anyway, because I don't know that they exist. But anyway, this is what a typical builder community site map looks like. It's color-coded, kind of cartoony. It shows things that may or may not actually be there. A lot of times, one of my big pet peeves is that they will color a dry retention pond blue like it's a pond. It's not a pond, it's a dry retention pond, meaning it will stay dry. So it's just a big kind of big scoop of earth. Doesn't mean it's an eyesore. It's still private, but it certainly is not a pond. And so those are some of my pet peeves with builders. But You can look at this. If you look at this, other than the little rectangles that have numbers in them, look at the little things like the little mini bushes that they've put in places, things like that. Because that's not necessarily the landscaping that's actually going to be there. And so what happened was I have a client that is building, and it's beautiful, by the way. It's just an unfortunate, I guess that's the best way to describe it. It's an unfortunate situation that we don't really have any control over. But it would have been good to have had that, told to us in the very beginning, which is, so they're purchasing a bungalow. Remember, it's a rear entry garage style home. And so the front, it's really beautiful. It's a beautiful aesthetic. You've got this long line of everyone's front porches and very, very nice. Well, in front of it, you would expect, because remember, in a bungalow, you don't really have a yard. You've got a little bit of space up until the sidewalk, and that's it, right? And you don't typically have a backyard because it's a rear entry garage. So it could be detached, it could be attached, but either way, you don't really have a yard. So they purchased this home site, paid the lot premium, and now beyond that sidewalk, it's not their property. We don't get to decide what happens to it. We don't have any control over it. That has nothing to do with their particular piece of property. But in front of that, the builder or the county, whomever, however that gets decided, has put some shrubbery with 2 park benches. It's part of the green space, right? The green space within the community, which we love, right? When you live in the community, you like to have that common area space. You like to have a park or a playground. You don't mind having benches. Waterley is one of my favorite communities where they have really thoughtfully put so many benches, like looking out toward the ponds with the fountains. And so that's lovely. And I think that by code, you do have to have some of these things. Because Orange County in Florida is very, very specific about green space and what you provide to the residents of the area and to the homeowners. But right in front of their home, and it's not right in front of their home, but it's beyond their property line in the front of their home, is a little bit of shrubbery and 2 park benches. And, they were just a little upset to find out that that was going to be placed in front of their home because they had not been told that to begin with. And had they been told that, or had it been visible on a site map, or had it been disclosed to them, they would have chosen a different home site. It's just, that's not what they wanted. They didn't expect that to be there, and they don't really want the potential of people hanging out on a park bench literally in front of their house. There's nothing wrong with that. It's going to be there in front of someone's. And I honestly think that had it been disclosed in the beginning, it wouldn't be as big a deal as it is now, because now it's just very disappointing, right? So point is, the moral of this story is sometimes we need to ask those questions. Now, in fairness, the site agent that I work with all the time, and he is amazing, he also did not know this. But somebody knew this, right? Somebody knew this. This was in the plans somewhere at some point. And that, I feel like, from a builder perspective, should be, or county, if it's a county decision and the county requires it of the builder, then the builder needs to convey and disclose that information to the site agents so that they can then disclose and convey that information to the buyer, so that the buyer can make a very informed decision as to whether or not they want that home site. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just something that they were not expecting. And if they had had a choice in the matter, would have probably chosen something else. Now, let's blow that up on a much bigger scale. If you are buying a home and you've got just woods behind you, or just green space behind you, or just land behind you, the next question is, what's going to be built behind my house? If they say it's conservation or preservation, then you should be okay. Then that should not be changed. It's been designated as such, and it should not be touched. And by the way, this is true in anywhere, whatever state you're in, right? It doesn't matter if you're in Florida. It doesn't matter if you're in Virginia. It doesn't matter if you're, in Hawaii, although that's okay. Hawaii would be cool. But it doesn't matter where you are. These are questions that are very good to ask regardless, so that you can have that understanding and not be surprised if all of a sudden one day you bought a house and there was, a lot of trees behind you blocking and buffering you from a main road that was, you know, 500 yards away. And then all of a sudden one day you find out that the county has zoned that commercial and somebody bought that land and now they shoved down all those trees and they built up a shopping center. And guess what the back of your house looks out to? The back of their businesses and the dumpsters and the nasty, stinky alley. That literally is another situation. The first community that we moved into when we first moved to Florida was a situation exactly like that. We were like an oval community, and one side of that oval looked out to just trees. It was beautiful, and it was a really big, beautiful buffer to a main road. Not a main like interstate road, but a heavily traveled road. And then sure enough, there was a price tag on it. It wasn't conservation. It wasn't preservation. It was essentially zoned commercial. So at some point somebody was going to buy it, and at some point somebody did. And now when you drive past it, these people that paid a lot of money for their homes, they look out their backyard, and even though there's, like a brick wall back there, on the other side of it is the back of, gas station or convenience store. And of course, that's where the dumpsters are. And anyway, so it happens. So ask those questions, find out, make sure you ask those questions, and maybe even ask those questions via email so that there is a record of it saying, hey, I'm looking at home site 321. And I see that it's marked conservation or preservation back behind it. I've also checked public records. Just want to confirm that there is no expectation. Do you own that land? Is it going to remain that way? Is there a chance that somebody can build on it? And by the way, many times I've actually had site agents say what they do know to be true, which is, so behind you is a portion of a lake and trees and conservation. On the other side of that, however, is land that will eventually be developed. But the trees and the buffer and that lake will obviously remain. But what's on the other side of it will be developed. Okay, well then at least you know that going into it. So, all right. Oh my goodness, I'm looking at all these beautiful, beautiful like messages from all you guys. Okay. Excuse me. Oh, Allie, of course. Thank you for joining in on the stream, folks. Don't forget to like this, give the stream a like, and make sure you are subscribed with the notifications on. Yeah, you guys are so funny. I'm looking to purchase a home in Orange County, California. I'm guessing a bungalow can also be a craftsman cottage. Yeah, the definition of bungalow, to me, it doesn't really explain what that product line is with the builders, but it is for our purposes, it's just a narrow home site, usually about 40 feet wide, that has a rear entry garage. Again, either rear entry attached or detached garage. And the front aesthetic, there is sometimes, and sometimes there is not parking on the street in front of you. So there's a lot of pros and a few cons too with that concept. But Kim, of course, one of the reasons we bought a lot with the lake behind it, we wanted to make sure it stayed private. Amen, sister friend. Yep, Gary, me too. The builder did tell me that there was a road to be built behind the tree line, so I didn't choose a lot there. That's exactly right. Yep. And I will say, if the builder knows, they're not, in my opinion, I've never met a site agent that is intentionally deceitful. I just haven't. I have worked with some site agents that I would probably choose not to work with again, just because the way they treat the clients is not in line with the way I want my clients treated. So, but they're fine, lovely individuals. It's just, I'm very protective of you, right? And I want to make sure that you have someone that loves you and cares about you and is going to do their best job for you too. But yeah, so most of the builders will tell you if they know, they have to tell you. Now that actually is perfect segue to our word of the day, but I don't want to get there yet. So let's go on to our topic number 3. Okay, so long-term versus short-term investment properties. First of all, if you are lucky enough or fortunate enough or intrigued enough to decide that you want an investment property, and by the way, this is true anywhere. Okay. Yes, I know we talk a lot about, Orlando, the Orlando market, and especially near Disney, but this really is information for anyone, anywhere. So the first thing is to determine, and this is even if you're buying a house, by the way. If you're buying a house as your primary residence, you want to confirm whether or not this is zoned short-term rental or residential. Just make sure it's not, well, you don't have to make sure it's not zoned short-term rental. Just make sure that you are aware. That's all. Because I have told clients when they're looking for a primary and they're looking in a specific community, I'll say, just so you know, are you okay? It is short-term rental. Doesn't mean that everybody in there is, an investor and it's just an Airbnb type short-term rental situation, but it could be, your neighbors could all be people that are just there on vacation. And so their commitment to calm, quiet community may not be in line with yours. So if you are going to invest, there's just two different schools of thoughts on this, and they're both right. It's really about what you're looking at for you. So there are a lot of people that want an investment property. So if you were to get an investment property, buy a house, buy a townhouse, buy a condo, and use it as an investment, as a rental property. If you do it in a community where it is residential and you have a tenant, they're going to need to sign, in most cases, a 1-year lease, 12 months, right? Now, the good news with that is that if you have a tenant, and by the way, I have one. By the way, I have a rental coming up in Hawksmoor in Winter Garden. So if anyone's looking for a small little bungalow, 1-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, let me know. So the homeowner, I helped her when she bought it, brand new. She's been relocated for work, but not forever, just for a few years. And so we actually had it rented, ironically, to the mother of another client of mine who also lived in the neighborhood. But they're now out of it or going to be out of it. And so now we're putting it back up for rent again. But the benefit of having a long-term rental is that you know that you have a tenant in place for 12 months. For that year, you've got a tenant, they've signed the lease, unless there's something crazy happening, they're going to be in that property for a year. Now, a tenant who is in a long-term rental is probably more inclined to take care of that property because it's their home. They're not just in it to party or vacation or let loose for the week or the weekend. They're there because it's their home. If they've got children, they're going to make sure they're going to keep it well maintained, right? Speaking of maintenance, you don't have to worry about getting it cleaned in between each renter because it's just one tenant there, right? And as far as maintenance, again, you've got a more streamlined communication, and chances are there's not going to be anything that goes wrong. And if it is, then you don't have to have a constant maintenance crew prepped and ready. So long-term rental is a really nice way to go. It's again, it feels more like a home that you're renting it to another family or something, a family that needs a home, and you have that consistent revenue and a little bit less commitment, and you don't have to pay a property management company. I mean, you can if you want to, but you don't have to. Now, let's flip to the short-term rental scenario. So in a short-term rental, you are most likely, although I have had clients that do it themselves, but most likely you are going to need to hire a property management company. And depending on what community you purchase in, you may be required to use that community's property management company. Or you may have the option of using their company, but you can also then choose your own company, or you could just maintain it yourself. I've had clients maintain it themselves because they live in the area. If you want to do that, go for it. But most people if they're going to buy an investment property, most people are looking to have that property, kind of forget that it exists, let somebody else take care of the problems, and you just want to get that check every month, right? Or every 2 weeks, however you're getting paid. Now, the good news is that with a short-term rental, you are probably going to make more money on it because if it is a good one and the bookings stay consistent, you can make substantially more because, it's a vacation rental. Think about how much you pay for a hotel room for one night. So, if someone's there, you might be able to, have a really nice revenue source. But in addition to that, you have to have a property management company. You have to have it cleaned, professionally cleaned every time a tenant goes in and out. You have to have the booking company, which is the property management company, right? They are going to handle the bookings. They're going to, handle the cleaning. They're going to have to make sure that the maintenance is done. So if somebody comes in, and again, it's not their property, so they don't care. Most people are just there to have fun. So if they overload that washing machine with, 15 heavy pool beach towels and the washing machine goes kaput, whatever, they don't care. It's not their house. And not that this happens all the time, but it's a concern. It has happened. I know it's happened. But so the property management takes a portion of that, and that percentage can be anywhere from 15 to 30%. Honestly, it just depends on the company, depends on the rental property. By the way, speaking of that, you have to then think, okay, well, do I want something small like a townhouse as a rental, as a short-term rental, or do I want one of those big mamma jammas that has like 12 rooms and like 7 bathrooms? With a pool, or do you want something in between, kind of like a 4 or 5 bedroom? Do you want an individual house? Do you want a condo? Do you want a bungalow? Do you want, there's a lot of different things to think about. And I think a lot of times when people are just excited to get an investment property, they haven't thought through all of those other little minute pieces, right? And obviously if you have a short-term rental, there's no guarantee that it's going to stay consistently booked. And that's where, well, what does it look like then to have a long-term rental property where I know that not only is my mortgage being paid on that, or if you bought it cash, yay for you. But that you're making a profit, a consistent profit every month, guaranteed on a long-term rental, as opposed to, well, you might have a short-term rental and the rates might be, on the books, it might look like you're going to make a lot of money. But if somebody doesn't actually book it, you're not getting paid anything. So lots of things to think about. I don't do a ton of short-term rentals, but I have had quite a few clients purchase short-term rentals as a rental property. I've had them purchase it as their own, like, hey, it's going to be my short-term rental. I'm going to manage it and I'll book it out, and I'll let my friends use it, whatever. And I've had people use it as their primary. So I've done all of that. I've also sold those short-term rental properties. Some of them sell well. Some of them, it was a real struggle. There's a couple of real miracles that we had with a couple of communities that I was shocked that they never get booked. So I was happy to get that sold for them. So anyway, so if you're interested in long-term, short-term, you can call me on those two. Got lots of stories to share. Okay. So what's going on? I'm like looking, I feel like I'm missing. So when I do coffee time, just so you know, this is what I feel like. I feel like I'm right here in front of the camera and you guys are having a party over here. You guys are all having conversations and parties, and I'm that person that's standing up in front of the room, facilitating, doing whatever I'm doing, but like nobody's listening. They're all over here talking to each other, right? I love it though, because I really do. I see my chat bar just scroll. Okay, so let me see. Here, question from Sydney. Is there a limit on long-term renters? How many times can it be renewed? That doesn't matter. You can renew it as many times as you want, because if it's a long-term rental, that's in a residential community. It is zoned residential. Now, I mean, that doesn't mean that you can't have a short-term rental and do a year-long lease, but you're probably not going to want to do that. But a residential community, people have rented places for 5, 6, 7 years. Friends of mine owned it was their home. I think it was their condo or their townhouse in Northern Virginia. They owned it, and then they moved, and instead of selling it, they rented it, and that renter was there for years and years. So that's up to you, because essentially you're the owner, so you get to decide how long you want to rent it and who you want to rent it to. There are some differences. That's a good question though. Yes, Jay, I'm good. 12 bathrooms. Who wants to clean all that? Well, again, property management company. Somebody's being paid to clean those 12 bathrooms. And to your point, people are on vacation. No, thank you. Let's see. Talking about comparing property rentals to a hotel. How can you do better with a property rental? I save thousands exchanging my WorldMark timeshare with the DVC timeshare. That's a really good point. So for people that are looking to be Disney Vacation Club or any of those other timeshare type concepts, that's another whole conversation. But yeah, there's a lot of people that do that. Friends of mine, she's my best friend from high school, and we're still friends, and she and her husband came to Eric's Celebration of Life, and they have some timeshares or a vacation club type. thing. And I remember even when we were in Florida, but my son Forrest graduated from UVA, again, this has been years ago. And we couldn't get a hotel. There was like everything was booked because it was, final exercises. And my friend Jackie said, she's like, oh, well, we have a timeshare. It's like, I can't remember now. Let's just say 45 minutes from UVA. But so we stayed there. And for the celebration of life, even though she lives a couple of hours away, they opted to use their vacation club, and they were staying at a resort close there in Williamsburg. So that's another good conversation. Not one that I don't have a timeshare, and that's a whole different thing real estate wise. So I don't, but that's a good point. Tracy, I think I've heard that Orange County, Florida doesn't allow short-term rentals. I'm not sure if that's right. And to add to Sydney's question, do neighborhoods limit the number of rental properties? These are, God, I love you guys. Great questions. So yeah, so in Orange County, especially in those, most communities are residential. Everything that's around Disney, that's all residential if it's in Orange County. But there are some areas of Orange County and Winter Garden that's like older areas that there isn't, it's not short-term rental. It's just not part of the, like you could rent it if you wanted to. A lot of them, maybe only 6 months might be the minimum. But yeah, in most cases, you're going to be looking in like Osceola County or some of the other, even Lake County has some short-term rentals. But like Davenport, Kissimmee, a lot of those communities are zoned short-term rental, but you also have residential communities right there as well. Like even within Champions Gate, you've got some short-term rental sections and you've got some residential. So it's important to check. And then to add to Sydney's question, do neighborhoods limit the number of rental properties? So yes, depending on your HOA, if they know that property is being rented, you might have some issues, but in most cases, I've yet to see it where the HOA has been able or needed to step in. So that's a really good question though. But in most cases, a lot of times people will buy, like especially if it's a new community, you will have these investors that come in and they'll buy, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties, and the whole reason they're buying them is to use them as rentals. Yeah. So okay. Pam, what do you know about anything about the new subdivision going in on Marsh Road on the Winter Garden Claremont border? I'm trying to think of which one you're talking about. The one by Lakeview Preserve? Is that the one you're talking? Not Lakeview Preserve, but the one beside it that's going up? Tell me if you remember the name of it, let me know. But on that note, I do have other stuff to share with you. So let's move on to secret. Okay, so this isn't the one you're talking about, Pam, but it kind of was a great little segue. So Dream Finders, yes, Dream Finders, they have a gazillion trillion communities out and about in Lake and Orange County, honestly everywhere, to be quite honest. Hamlin Meadows is another winter garden community. I have the pricing on it. Let me see. Let me just pull it up real fast. I didn't put it up here. And I will say today is the initial first release. So it's happening today, my friends. Hold on. I just got an offer for a property. Okay, we're almost done. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Okay, all right, so what I wanted to do, let me find my friend because, all right, so here we go. So good morning, beautiful Amy. We just received intro pricing for the new community, which is Hamlin Meadows. Wanted to share the info in case you have any clients in this range. The bungalows are priced extremely well. Townhome pricing coming soon. So the bungalows, basically the base price for the Amelia is $496,990, Berkeley $514, Carter $549, and the Everly is $577. So that's for bungalows. Okay, bungalows are going to be in the basically 5 to 6 range. 5 to 550 range is probably more realistic. The traditional floor plans that we all love, the Anna Maria, the Biscayne, the Anna Maria with the bonus, Arlington, Tidewaters. Anna Maria is going to be starting at like 610. The Arlington with the bonus is going to be starting around 733. Oh my gosh, this is great. So if you are looking in that area, let me know. This is literally today is the release day of the first phase of this new community. There's no models even yet. That happens a lot, by the way, with some of the builders and dream finders. Interestingly, I was out doing videos the other day at Avalon Woods, so we'll have those model homes for you shortly. They literally power had just kind of kicked up, the designers, everything was designed, but we actually couldn't get into one of them because they were still doing the design on the inside, adding a golf simulator into the office space at the front of the house. I know. But one of the things is there's some site agents, and I've got a lot of relationships with these people over the years, and I'm like, why are you with Dream Finders? You used to be with this builder. But that's what happens, right? They leave a company, they go to another one. Anyway, they were like, yeah, we've never experienced the way Dream Finders works it. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. They've always been, we have a community that's coming and we can go ahead and start selling if it's platted out, even if they don't have models. And I will tell you, they sold Lakeside at Hamlin before they had models because they were still using the models over at Wency Groves, which was, just down the street. So it happens. That's one of the things that Dream Finders can do. And the nice thing is that because there's so many communities, you actually can go walk the models in many of the other communities. So you can see what it looks like, even if you're building it in another one. So anyway, so excited about that. Okay, let's move on to wishes. Okay, very excited. So Steve and Deb, these are repeat clients of mine. We go way back. They purchased a home here, kind of like their own private vacation home out in the Windermere area years ago, and then we sold that, and now they're back again. We've looked several times when they come in town looking, and now we finally found one, so they're very excited. Kim Sokolsky, not too far from you, my friend. Lovely people. They're the ones that are having the inspection done this morning. Sad they had come in town and then they got back home and they ended up with COVID. So I have to tell you, like, this stuff's going around. So please, just everybody, make sure you take care of yourself. And I noticed in the chat, you guys were all giving me, oh, what happened to the chat? I don't know what happened to my chat. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff going around, so just make sure you take care of yourself. David and Joy, Lisa and Timothy, excited. We are starting the property search for them. And Andy and Danila, their home just went on the market, so we're super excited about that. All right, let me get going to, let me go ahead and do the listings. How about that? We'll do that. All right, so the listing spotlight is one over at West Haven at Ovation. So this is in the Ovation Village there in Horizon West in Winter Garden. Just, when I say literally minutes, I mean, it's always, everything is literally minutes, right? But within a few minutes, they're right there in the Ovation Village. West Haven at Ovation is a Toll Brothers community. This is their bungalow. This one does have a detached garage. Winter Garden, Horizon West, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2-car garage, $625. Price point wise, and a little over 1,900 square feet. And here's the really nice thing. It is across from the amenity center. So if you are looking for, or if you know of anyone that is looking for, this is why this property is ideal. Back to our conversation about short-term, long-term rentals. This is not something that you could use as a short-term rental. You cannot use this as an Airbnb because the community in the area is not zoned that way. But for them and for whoever wants to purchase this, if you are looking for your own private vacation home, this is a really good option because not only is it a smaller, a little bit less expensive than some of the other homes that might be bigger out and about and around the area, but you are literally across the street from the amenity center. So you have very quick access to, fitness center, or to the pool or the parks or the playgrounds or whatever it is that you might want, specifically the pool, right? Because, that's usually what people are going to want to do. So anyway, food for thought on that one if you like that one. And then with that, let's move on to the other ones. We have, again, same one. That is the Toll Brothers West Haven at Ovation. We have the Winter Garden gated community. This is another new listing. I don't know that we had a time to feature because I think this one kind of went active right when we were taking time off. But this is in a community called Tilden Place, very close to Windermere High School, Winter Garden Village area. It's an MI Homes. Oh, love it. It's their Newport floor plan. Absolutely spectacular. Down left corner, Mineola 2-story Windermere Townhome end unit over there. These are all my listings. Another one is in Winter Garden Horizon West. This one backs up to beautiful conservation. There is another one, Winter Garden gated. Guys, that is the one. You are the first to hear it, my friends. That they just said, we had a showing late last night. By the way, kudos to my sellers for honoring it. They literally, it was 5:45. She had scheduled a showing and then she had to cancel it because her clients changed their mind. They're like, I don't know if we want to see it, so never mind. So I told my sellers, okay, well, they canceled the showing. They're like, okay. So then she calls last night and she said, hey, I know you think I'm crazy, but they've decided they really do want to see it. Is there any way we could see it at 6:15? And I'm like, tonight? Like in 30 minutes? And she said, yeah, I know. I said, all I can do is ask. So I asked, my seller said yes. And now we received an offer. So cross your fingers, it's a good one. And then the bottom one is the villa. You may remember that we had this villa, Del Webb Oasis, also there in Horizon West in the Ovation Village. Again, just seconds from Disney, those back arches there at Western Way. It's the unit on the right. It is a two-story. No, it's not. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, plus a flex space villa. I was going to say bungalow. It's not a bungalow. It's a villa. They're in the 55 plus community of Del Webb Oasis. So it is absolutely beautiful. This is the one where the homeowners replaced all of the flooring and put in marble. And they did custom closets and organization in every closet. They added some additional LED lighting. So this was kind of used as their own little private vacation home. And again, brand new. It's only like a year old, 2 years old. Anyway, so lots of stuff going on there. So we're super excited about that. All right, let's do word.
Oh, now come on, Amy, tell me what's the word.
Okay, caveat emptor. If you don't know what this means, it means buyer beware. This is important because in most real estate areas, it is a caveat emptor state. It is a buyer beware state. And the reason I say this is because it is important to understand that as the buyer, you need to make sure you ask those questions. You need to make sure you do your due diligence and you get a good inspection done on a property, because buyer beware means that the seller does not necessarily need to disclose things that you might wish they would. So that is really important. And that is something that we see a lot. Now, obviously in Florida, we have seller's property disclosure, flood disclosure, HOA disclosure, all of these certain things. But, in Virginia, there's not as many disclosures that you have to have. And that is going to vary from state to state. So point is, you should always assume, if you are the one that is on the buying end of things, always assume that you need to do your research and that you need to do your due diligence and that you need to ask those questions. Because if you ask a question and they know of something, and you have asked specifically, sometimes that changes whether or not they are required to convey that information to you. So think about that as you go through buyer beware. Okay, let's see. Jay says, I've been trying to convince my hubby that we need to move to Del Webb. No luck so far as it snows again here. Oh, yeah, I know. Speaking of that, what is the coldness going on? Well, if you decide, Jay, that you guys want a villa, I got you. Or anything, by the way. I got you no matter what. Okay, I'm going to keep boogieing only because I need to get this offer and get ourselves going. So, where was I? Oh, watching. Okay, so if you remember, I've watched this before. There's a few seasons, and season 4 just came out. They've already had 2 episodes. I guess the new episodes come on Thursday evenings. So I only got to watch the first 2. I love this. I love this kind of a quirky reality show, mostly because of where it's set in this castle in Scotland, I believe. And it's just amazing. I love the scenery. But it's really fun, right? Because it's a reality show. There's all these little challenges here and there. You know, the winner obviously gets a lot of money, but there are faithfuls and there are traitors within this group of however many people. And the traitors know who each other are, although in this season there's one that they don't know who is. Um, and then the faithfuls. So the faithfuls are trying to find the traitors and they're trying to get them out. But you're really just kind of based on behavior and things that happen. Anyway, season 4 just started. You know, I'm a little bit bummed. Some of these reality shows, they do like the celebrity version, and that just kind of drives me. I just want to see regular people. Like, I love the celebrities. Like, it's Tara Lipinski is in there, and some other people. But I just like I yay for them, but I want to see regular people play this game. You know, I think it's kind of fun. But again, it's all about ratings and money. But anyway, fun one. So if you haven't ever watched any of the Traders seasons, you should watch it. This is fun. Tell me what you think. Um, Jay, that show is unhinged in the best possible way, right? And then Jay says we have a one too that's fab. Yeah. Oh yeah, Pam. Oh good. Oh, I love it. You guys have been watching this. My favorite reality show. Alan is. You know what? Yes, Alan is fabulous. He's the host there, and I will tell you. I mean, he is a lot. And the first time I was like, because I think I watched the UK version. It was a woman that was the host. That was my first experience with it. So going from her to him or him to her, whatever, was a little different. But my goodness, is he amazing. He's wicked and awesome and love it. So if you have something or if you need something to watch, that's one that I would suggest. Yeah, and then Jane says, I agree. I don't really like the reality peeps. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, I already saw you on Big Brother. I already saw you on like Survivor. Like, you already did these shows. I don't want those people. I just want, you know what? Here we go. Traders. Why don't you do our coffee time family? Pick all of us and we'll figure out who the traders and the faithfuls are. I'm just kidding. Anyway, all right, my friends, I'm going to keep going because I do have to get out of here. But let's see. Okay, I just thought I'd share these pictures with you. Both of these were taken at Eric's celebration of life. Remember when I mentioned earlier how when the kids started to get a little, you know, anxious, they needed to kind of move around a little bit or get out of the chairs that they were sitting in. This is where they took them outside. There's still, again, a little patio area. And you see the woods behind Easton, which is where we saw the bluebird. But there's little Easton and there's Elsie. And let me just tell you, seriously, I just love them so stinking much. It's indescribable. I mean, you know how much you love your own kids if you have them. But everyone knows what it feels like when you just love somebody like with your whole heart. And whether it's your spouse or your significant other, or whether it's your parents or siblings or your children or your grandchildren, it literally makes my heart warm inside. So I love them. And yes, they're getting so big, aren't they? Yeah, Easton's just adorable. Elsie's just adorable. They're just so fun. And it's so fun to think about you guys when all of this was happening, when we made the announcement that the girls were pregnant. And anyway, so thank you for being part of that. All right, I'm going to go to Cup. Okay, so a couple of things. Well, first of all, again, as I've said before, things that don't really, well, they matter to me, but it would matter to Eric to make the announcement. So because I owe it to my husband to toot my horn, I will share that I picked up my award back here, again, top 50 agent in Florida. For 2025, over 20,000 realtors, top 50 as a single agent is pretty good. So I appreciate it. And I thank you guys, whether you're just friends here on Coffee Time and we've never met, or whether you are current clients or future clients or past clients. Mostly I thank you guys because it really is. It's heartwarming. But I also have this. So this was also taken at our celebration of life. So this picture is this is our King's Dominion. For those of you that remember, Eric and I performed, right? And so we performed at King's Dominion, a theme park in Doswell, Virginia. Just say Richmond, it makes more sense. But all of these people were either performers or technicians or the entertainment managers that hired us. Some absolute dear friends that absolutely just it touched me beyond measure to see this group of people that we all shared the stage together in some capacity, whether we were in the same show, whether they were the stage manager of the show or the technician of the show. But let me just tell you all, you don't know who these people are, but I will tell you, there is some fierce talent in that picture. There is someone who does the lighting for the Tony Awards and the Broadway shows in that picture. There is the creative director for Cirque du Soleil in Vegas in that picture. There's authors in there. There are casting directors in there. There are musical theater, art school directors in there. There's just a tremendous amount of talent in there. But more than the talent, they just make my heart so happy. They are my family. And obviously you see Daryl in there. Daryl did an amazing job at our celebration of life. He has been designated as our spiritual leader within our family. And he of course was amazing. And how special to have had something that was so intimate and to have people speak that all shared stories about Eric, and the underlying theme was that how he always was everybody's cheerleader. He always saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself. I will attest to that. And that he always tries to bring it out. So anyway, all right, let's go. I did it. Did I do it? I did it. Okay, so as we finish up today, let me pop this up. Just don't forget, I am always here. You can give me a call or text me at 407-848-8042. We have a lot of work. We're going to have a Heart and Home company meeting here. We're going to be making some changes so I can make sure that I give you my Virginia phone number if you happen to be on the Virginia side of things, which is 757-329-0055. We'll make sure some of these graphics all match up. But we've had a lot going on as a family. So thank you for your patience. Know how much that I'm so excited to see you guys again. I know I'm not seeing you, but I absolutely love you guys. So thank you for being a part. And before I leave, I have to tell you one more thing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot. So in the course of my traveling, I ran into this lovely couple at the airport, John and Bobby. I don't know last names, didn't ask, but we struck up a conversation at the airport that just stopped all time. We laughed, and I just felt like I met some people I was supposed to meet. And I've always said, it's not my saying, but I always reference the saying that strangers are just friends waiting to happen. And so with that, go out into your day and into your week this week, and just know that every stranger that you see, give them a smile. You never know, they might just be somebody that becomes a really good friend, or somebody that you're supposed to meet to make your life happier and your heart a little lighter. So with that, I love you guys. Please stay safe. Stay well. Remember, I love you, and I'll see you next week. I promise. Love you guys. Bye. Happy house hunting.